Getting the economy going remains the main focus of the coalition, and it's expected that this afternoon, as we've said, Nick Clegg and David Cameron will announce more big infrastructure projects that they hope will create jobs. But there are growing concerns that the UK could lose its coveted AAA credit status later in the year, and that we could be headed for a triple-dip recession. Here's what David Cameron had to say yesterday on the Andrew Marr Show.
If we sort of stand back and look at the big picture of the British economy, we need a rebalancing. We need a rebalancing, a bigger private sector, growth more spread more evenly around the country, not so reliant on just finance, but we need manufacturing, export, production, high-tech industries. And there are good signs that that rebalancing is taking place. So last year, for instance, more new companies set up than in any time in recent history. So as I say, with that plus the employment picture, there are some good signs, but it's hard work, it's hard going. And look around Europe and you can see we're not alone in facing these challenges.
David Cameron there. And we're joined now by the City analyst Louise Cooper. Happy New Year. Welcome to the programme. Predictions of a triple-dip recession, what do you think?
I think it's a strong possibility. And I think about the AAA rating, I think one downgrade is almost guaranteed. There's an outside chance we could be downgraded twice, from AAA to AA, AA to single A. It is a possibility.
Now, how bad would that be? I mean, I know that we all know George Osborne held it as the big prize, holding on to that AAA credit rating. If it goes now, will it be the big blow?
I'm surprised we haven't lost it already, to be brutally honest, given the state of our finances.
Do you think we have actually technically sort of lost it?
I think the markets kind of think we have lost it. The key is QE. QE is keeping quantitative easing, money printing. That is what's keeping gilt yields down. That's what's keeping our borrowing costs down. At the end of last week, we heard from the Federal Reserve in the States that QE in the States may be coming to an end this year. We have been much more generous in QE in the UK. As soon as markets think QE may be coming to an end in the UK, then that is the point to worry about the UK's borrowing costs, because then it's not about whether the Bank of England's buying gilts, it's about whether international investors will still continue to buy gilts. That is the point of pain.
Right, so you don't actually think that the borrowing costs, interest debt payments would necessarily go up from losing our AAA credit rating?
Provided QE is still happening, provided there's still, the Bank of England still say, yes, we're still in there, we're still buying our gilts, there is still a programme. If we get to the end of QE, because the capacity for QE, the bank just can't buy any more gilts because it's just bought so many. If we get to the end of QE because the capacity is finished, not because the UK economy is motoring, then that is a very painful place. That could be very messy.
I mean, Cheryl Gillen, that prediction obviously is pretty bleak. It does look like, if we haven't already, we're going to lose the AAA credit rating. Now, in terms of how George Osborne placed this, he said it was absolutely crucial. Do you agree it'll be a big blow if we lose it?
Well, first of all, I have to say that I think everybody agrees that we're not out of the woods yet. And it's not necessarily all in our own hands as well, because what has become increasingly obvious is the effect that both the euro and the European economy and the wider world economy and even the States economy, with what has just happened with the fiscal cliff, how that affects our economy here. So I think the Chancellor is entering very tricky waters. I think he has attached quite a lot to the AAA credit rating.
Do you think he attached too much to it?
I find that hard to judge. I would have agreed with the analysis that the markets have almost thought that we've lost it, but we've still held on to it, because we have been a beacon of light in terms of the stability and the direction of travel and sticking to Plan A.
Right.
And that is actually something which is admired universally by third parties around the world.
That's true.
Right, it is, but then if you look, we're not going to balance the books. We know that now, for the reasons perhaps that you have set out. Austerity is going to go on till 2018, good few years beyond what George Osborne predicted. Predictions of losing AAA credit rating, if I can say it. We don't know what's going to happen to quantitative easing. I mean, what has George Osborne actually achieved? You say he stuck to Plan A, but it hasn't reaped the results, has it?
Well, I think he is reaping the results. I think, first of all, even just taking the interest level rates.
A triple-dip recession.
If you consider the way in which we have kept the stability of our interest rates, remember, every 1% that goes onto our interest rates is £1,000 on people's mortgage. We have got an economy that is performing relatively well compared to other economies. Even the Chinese economy is showing signs of slowing down and has not achieved the growth it expected. So I actually think that George has positioned us well. However, It is choppy waters still. It is deep water out there. We need to keep a steady hand on the tiller. And I think that's what George has been providing.
I think there are 2 points. I think Louise has set out very clearly the interaction of big economies. And I think that too much of the government rhetoric and policy presumes that somehow we can develop our economy in a way which is isolated from changes in the rest of the world and changes in the rest of Europe. That's the first thing. The second...
But Labour said exactly that actually that you could have charted a different course and we would have been able to override the problems in the Eurozone and the global economy.
No. I mean, what we have argued consistently is the importance of getting growth back into the economy by getting people out of off unemployment and back into work, and that links right back to the discussion that we had a little while ago about the cost of welfare.
Growth is the holy grail.
Jobs are key, absolutely. But politicians, I'm sorry guys, are rubbish at creating jobs or determining where an economy should grow. You listen to David Cameron, he talks about rebalancing.
Yeah.
Well,
where's the
good
rebalancing
luck to him, mate,
Yes.
because actually that's not really how capitalism works. So yes, growth is key, but how do you create growth? We talk about growth creation, but people don't have cash. The government doesn't have cash. The only area that has cash is businesses.
And they're not spending.
And they're not spending because they're terrified of the world.
Right, now they're not spending, but they're not spending, Min Campbell, because they don't think consumers are spending. I mean, that, if you look at it very brutally, and if consumers aren't spending because their wages are frozen and their standards of living are being squeezed, then businesses are going to hold on to that cash and we're not going to move off the situation we are.
Well, it's not just about companies holding on to their cash reserves, it's about banks being very reluctant to support what are perfectly viable alternatives. And it's right to say that governments don't create jobs, but we've created more than 1 million new jobs in this economy in the last 2.5 years.
And
we've gone, if I may just finish, we've moved from being outside the top 10 of the most competitive countries in the world into 8th place. I hesitate to use the words green shoots because they are thoroughly distorted. But there are events taking place which are consistent with turning the corner.
All right, just very briefly, because we've run out of time, but Louise Cooper, before you go, interest rates being held at 0.5%, do you see that continuing for the foreseeable future?
Forever. Not forever. I laugh.
I know
say forever.
But pretty
the interest rates are nailed
and
to the ground.
New governor of Bank of England won't be changing that. Not that he can on his own anyway, but no. OK.
Nailed to the ground.